Testing. Okay, here we are. Not sure why it did not. So very strange. I'm back. Yeah, guys, we have a little bit of bad luck. We have the homepage is out of the air, and I created a urgency ticket so that they look into it. But yeah, currently we are not back online. So we moved to another server some days ago. I think that was, 2 weeks ago. We went to a new server. We were one time also out of the air, and now again. So it should be the state of the art. Should be a much faster a server, much faster in terms of CPU power, 48 core, 48 gigabyte RAM, big hard disk. But it's not. It's out of the air. So hopefully, guys, it's going to be soon that we are back online. And in the meantime, of course, YouTube works. My synthesizers work. So we keep on having fun with BIT-2, which is still planned to be released at the 27th of April. So there are still some little bugs we have to beat. We have forgotten here the panel lines, which are going to be added very fast. Here you see where you have in oscillator 2 feedback, phase modulation, frequency modulation, ring modulation, and the amount control. And if you look at the original bit, then you can see that we had panel lines there, and these are little things that slipped. Here you see the panel lines. Yeah, and then you might say, hey, why are the dials different? But that's because we have animated dials now in BIT, in BIT, because, yeah, here around this dial, it's very hard to get a ring around it that would take too much space. So we use another type of dial, which looks very nice. And so here, if there's any modulation going on, it's displayed in the dial. You can put it off. So if you go to the control menu, you can say dial animation. You can put that one off as well. And you see, for instance, here the Lee cutoff, it's modulated, and you see that it changes the ring around it. So what I wanted to show you is some new sounds I created today. I had fun with the arpeggiator, but I created also some other sounds. So let me show you this in the ARP sequence. This is a minimal ARP. So in the bank manager, I click order by data and can see what are the. So this is an arpeggiator, which is minimal. Uses a sine wave, which is a little bit feedback. Here in the oscillator you have feedback, and you can open that one. So that changes that one. And then I had fun with the modulation of the sequencer. So here in this sequence, I use the free row to control the filter envelope, the amp envelope. So then you get these kind of things. So if I bypass it, if you go here in the modulation matrix in BIT-2, you can click on this one, number 5, which controls the filter envelope decay and the amp envelope decay. So if I mute this one, so now it's bypass. So this was the original one. And then I click them on, and then you hear that the ARP free row, which is down here, controls the decay. Here you also can change it a little. There's a funny noise sound, but if you open the modulation wheel, the noise goes away. So here you see the animation, going around. If you find it irritating, you can always shut it off. So we have in the modulation matrix more slots compared to 16 in total. So you can do quite some modulation. And if you would go, for instance, to the Jamal, which is a original preset from Jamal, this one, Vox Die Jamal, you hear a chord. And how does he do that? Well, he uses the ARP free row to detune the unison. So the unison He tunes the third one and the second one. So that is the destination. So in the Unison, you have the destinations of all the tunings and the panning even from the Unison. So, and then he, on the free roll, he creates this way an accord. So it's a bit like what Go-To does, essentially, where you have in each stamp you have a different chord. So with the modulation matrix, you can do a lot of cool stuff. What's another one maybe I had in Jamal? This one? This one uses also frequency modulation, or phase modulation. Here it is, phase modulation. So if I shut that down, it really adds a little click to it. It's a very cool sound. And of course, Jamal is working on presets for BIT-2, so we will have them also on the release. So that's going to be fun. This one. Oh, that's the one I just had, of course. Yeah. I created some lead sounds. I think I showed phase distortion lead. So this one uses phase distortion. So here it's the oscillator 1 is modulating oscillator 2. So if I shut this down, you only have a square. And the oscillator modulating, you get this gritty sound. And then I made some variation, distortion 2. Which has in the unison mode, which is essentially not really unison if you pick fifths here, but here you can see you can pick also all kind of chords, and fifths is of course cool for so everybody welcome. For the ones which are a little bit later, the homepage is out of the air. I'm not sure what is going on. We moved to a new server 2 weeks ago. We were another time out of the air. Now suddenly we are, after 5 o'clock, suddenly my homepage was not reachable anymore. So I created a urgency ticket to the server company, but until now it's not up in the air. So hopefully it will be later on that we have again the homepage up. Annoying because we have a new server which is much faster, has a more core CPU, bigger RAM memory, really a bit improvement, but yeah, now it's not running, so that's a little bit frustrating. But okay, let's go back to BIT-2 and some of the presets created. These one are... So these are the distorting. So can really sound, this uses even the square distortion, which is also new in BIT-2 compared to the original bit. The original bit has one type of distortion, but this is the square distortion, which is very heavy. So it really has many phases, you know. So if you can go soft to very distorted sound. So you hear my keyboard. Made some new basses, but these are more using the distortion. You hear there's a little edge, saturation. If I shut it down, gives this little edge. As you can hear, there has a little edge to it. So some new basses are inside of it. hopefully next week then I can show you already the Jomel presets, a few of them. In synth sounds, let me see if I did there some new, yeah, Tubular Bells. The Tubular Bell, which using essentially the phase distortion. But that's a very full sound. So you see, if you use a sinus waveform and you modulate it with another oscillator and the phase distortion on the right tuning, you get this. Cool, isn't it? But of course, if you then go different, which is semitone tuning, gone is the sound. And then you can go mere direction to an E piano. It's also nice because of sound. Then you get more the marimba type of thing. Very long release. Nice. And of course, to have it a bit more expression, this one goes to the filter, and the filter does the velocity, I think. This is a nice, maybe a bit too much reverb, so a bit less reverb. A bit shorter. I should shave this one. It's a nice one. So this I call, I think we have more marimbas. So I should not take the same name. So let me check if we have them in the letter M marimba. Modulation, no. Then I go save preset as, and I will call it marim. By BIT. Marimba by BIT, that's a nice name. Yeah, and of course I need to set the category. It's a synth sound, melodic percussion. No, it's percussive. Modulation wheel, does it? Yeah, maybe it's a bit like that sound. But that one was done with another synth. But that's another story. So synth sounds we were, if I have maybe order by date, and then Tubular Bells, getting, this one, getting 80s diggy, which is a very, sounds a bit like a, what's this machine again called? Then you see, essentially, it has such a full sound that even with two oscillators, you can make very nice FM type of sounds. Getting 80s diggy, I call that one. Daytime source synth is really like a sort of nice. Like a really, if you put off the delay, you get a really. and then it's suddenly different. Very short step sound. So you see a lot of texture, and that's the cool thing about a BIT-2 and also BIT is that you have the additional feature that you can modulate the one oscillator with the other oscillator for making cool effect sounds. But because we added phase modulation, so that you modulate with the one oscillator, the other oscillator, it's phase, that you get really FM type of sounds. Really digital type of sound. So it's and it's a thing, I think, still, if you would have a real analog machine and you could modulate the phase, you could have the same sound. But I'm not sure if that's possible with an analog machine. You can modulate the pitch frequency and the symmetry. The symmetry is the pulse width of the square, for instance. Yeah, Tupa. It's indeed the homepage is down. So I mentioned that already in the chat room. Yes. Yeah, we're working, or I'm not working on it. I created a urgent ticket to the web. You say that the server guys, who we hire the server on a server company, and I created the urgent ticket, and hopefully we're back online this evening. But it happened just after the normal office hours, and they say in an office hours it takes 15 minutes, but now after the office hours we are already 3 hours out. So it's not sure what's going on. Hopefully it's not a bad thing, because that will be taking much more time. But yeah, we do our best to and hope that the homepage will be online very soon. The super source stacking. I think this one was a. I just played. This one was a. Here we are. This one has a super saw 2 in oscillator 2. So this sound I played. And without delay, you can also sound nice. And of course, we had the psytrance or the trance sound, the classic trance sounds I did in the ARP sequencer. There I need also use the. Let me see. Should be order by date. Where are these babies? This one. And the other one was this one with only saw. So this is one of these super saw ones, and I think I made quite some new presets with the sequencer. I showed a few. That decay sequence, that means that here the ARP free roll is controlling the decay of the filter and the amp. Oh, sorry for that one. Need to go here, then you have a beat. see if I have another one. Cubase being, yeah, I have some TB type of sounds. It's a weird. I find the melody not so strong in this one. And of course in the original presets we had some, so I click here, the so my combination. Screaming. That's dirty. So it's very, some dirty sounds are inside of it. Yeah, sometimes other people are better in these type of presets. Addiction does some strange thing, I'm not sure. These are with the TB3 type of. Yeah, it's more bass sound, this one. Yeah, sure, you can use the slider, the ribbon controller. You can record this as a parameter. So if I go here to, let's see, take a sequence, go back to open sequence. And it also records the Springback. The Springback feature, it's something you might know if you know Delsain or Distort 2. It makes that the ribbon controller goes smoothly back in half a bar setting. So if I would record this, so let me record this, then you can see you can record it as a parameter. Then you need to put on in here in the Cubase, you need to have the recording for parameter recording. You need to put that on. So I put that on and simply press play and record. Put down. And by the way, also the amount of steps I can record there. I'll make it 8 steps. So yeah, so if I go back now, you can see in Cubase that I did record it. Oh, you see a lot of other things which you don't. Here it is. This is the track here, this one. So let's make it a little bit bigger, not smaller. And you see here the parameter controller. This one is the ribbon controller, ribbon value, and this is the ARP steps, which is changing. So, so if I play it back, you can hear here you see it also moving. And then you see suddenly here the steps is changing. So there's also one of the new features in BIT-2, which I explained in the live stream, the 2 other live streams ahead of this one on the Thursday, that this is one of a cool feature, because essentially this idea came back from when I worked with the old analog machines. So let me see if I still have this picture, which I did when I was in my teenage years. I had this SQ10 from Korg, and that one had 12 steps. And then I made a switching board. You see the cables go to the switching board, and then I could go from 2 steps to 4 steps to 8 steps. And then you could make some more variation in the sequencer. So I thought, yeah, why not do this in our software? So that's how the idea popped up, to add this to BIT-2, and then you can use it in a dynamic way. So you even can MIDI latch it, which is also possible with the controller. So if you look, because that's a question, about the Korg Triton Extreme Ribbon Controller. Yeah, here on my keyboard, you see, if you look in the upper screen, you can see this little blue red going. My finger goes over it. That is the ribbon controller in a complete control. This one I can MIDI latch here only. Then this one has only one direction, so I can say here, do a unipolar direction. So then it goes to the left. So now it jumps back again. I'm not sure why it jumps back, but that's in the... So, and then I can MIDI latch this to... Oh, I see what the bug is. It's the Springback, by the way. So, MIDI latch to MIDI. I moved and there you go. Then I have it MIDI latched. So I use now bipolar one. I think that's a bug, because if I switch down bipolar, it still goes back to the middle. So that it should not do, of course. So I switch back, but then I need to go. So that's by using an external MIDI controller. It shows it here. Latch to MIDI controller 11. That's expression. So you can also MIDI latch it. Although I noticed that it has still a little bug, which I need to write down, so that we need to fix that one. And it well could be that now the parameter recording interferes. That well could be the reason why it maybe... No, it goes back. It was the parameter recording which interfered. See, now it works. That's unipolar, so you have only one direction. You see, this ribbon controller doesn't have a mid position, so it has only a positive movement. So that works. So I clear the MIDI now. Clear MIDI. Unlatch MIDI. So it's either way. So you can record this as a controller, or you use it as a parameter. Don't mix it, because then you see what happens. Then it's mixed up. So because now it was recorded as a controller. So going back here. So, and then I shall delete here the recording. we go. And we're back again. No, it was not the switch off option. It was because of the parameter recording, which interfered with using MIDI controllers. So, of course, I can shut it off, and then the ribbon controller. No, it's not MIDI Latch anymore. Let's back again, Latch to MIDI. And then you see, then it stays on its position where I move it around. And only if I use the spring on, then it jumps back to 0. So here you can select the tempo-based options you have. The default is simply have a bar. This one. So if I moved up and will let go of the mouse, it goes back. Okay, as somebody mentioned in the chat room, why do we always have the parameter recorder on while we think we did not hit that button? Oh, well, here in Cubase, you need to put it manually on, so it's not default on, I think. Maybe other hosts are different. Maybe in Ableton, you always can record it. I'm not sure about that, how that works in Ableton or any other music host. But in Cubase, you always have to, if you scroll down, you have to put on the read for reading and write for writing the parameters. So, but then it's either way. You record it as a parameter by moving the mouse, or you use the controller. And then, of course, it records the MIDI controller, which is controller 11. So it's either that option. Let me see where. I really like this ARP free row connecting to the that's another one. Looking for another preset which I had, which was very nice. Oh, this muted, a little bit like a muted guitar. Bit space. Yeah, then of course in the pad sounds I created some new pad sounds. More a Unistar pad, which means that you only need to use one oscillator, because the original Uni only has one oscillator, but then use the square and the symmetry modulation. It's maybe a little bit loud. I'm not sure why. Maybe the preset's a little bit too loud. No, it's okay. So that's very different in terms of tone compared to these Jupiter sounds, which has two oscillators. Not sure if I did other melting ice pad. Is that a? The noise with a notch filter. I think this one I played also last week. Lots of. bandpass sweep. What maybe is nice to show is that the reversed envelope and essentially the attack becomes the decay, and then and the decay becomes a second attack. Get a different type of sound, because if you use the yeah, nice sound. So let's save this one because it's a nice sound. Save preset as. So we call this one inverse BP sweep, bandpass sweep. Okay, let me see if we have done the category. It's also more synth sound, I think. So the rest is good. Yes, nice. So you see, sometimes you go from one preset to another simply by changing one type of parameter, then you tweak around and then suddenly you have a different new sound. So that is how it goes. Yeah, in terms of Jupiter pads, we have several ones. Where the dual pad type of thing, or also the mellow carpet, which is, I think, more saw. Yeah, no, it's also square. Slow me pad, let's try that one. But that it's also nice pad sound. So different types. You see GP pad 1 and GP pad 2. Yeah, the SH101, which is in my background here. I have an SH101. So in fact, I can show it. Here it is, the SH101. And of course, then I know how you... Let's put it... I need to put it back, of course. And maybe sometime I need to do a nice live stream about the SH101 with the sequencer, which you can do very nicely. But the SH101, what I did then, for instance, in the bass preset, is using the second filter, which is more like the Roland filter. So for all kind of variations here. This one doesn't have, but this one. Very percussive. And of course, only one oscillator with the square oscillator. So I use the second oscillator because that one has the square oscillator. I think the 101 has a 24 dB filter. Yeah. And only low pass. Yeah. So the type 2 are more the type for the Roland type of sound. The first filter type, so if you go here to the filter types, for instance to the 24 dB, type 1 is a Moog ladder type filter. And type 1 is more in color comparable to the Roland sound. So they really have a different sound, and the zero latency filters are a totally different character again. They sound a little bit more cold to my ears, so I prefer very often the other ones, but it's very subtle, of course, and of course a matter of taste as well. But I also have an old SH5, which is a 70 synthesizers from Roland. That one really has a 12 dB filter. And also, for instance, the Yamaha CS80, the big machine, has a 12 dB filter. I think this has to do with the fact that they Japanese taste was a little bit different compared to the American taste. So they love more a brighter sound, because a 12 dB filter leaves over more high frequency, so the sound is a little bit more silky. So if you would go to, it's kind of CS80 inspired sound here in BIT-2. Let me see if I can. You see here, I use the 12 dB filter. If you would do the same sound with 24 dB, it's different in the higher frequencies. Very minimal difference, but it's really, it's more brighter in the high end. So about the question, H101, I think it's 24 dB. I don't think it's there were always discussions about a TB303, if that one was an 18 dB filter. I'm not sure. It's but to my ears, I would say the SH101 is definitely a 24 dB filter. And for pad sounds, then I often, also on my Jupiter 8, because on a Jupiter 8 you have a switch where you can say 12 dB or 24 dB. And for pads, I always use 12 dB, because then you have this silky top end, because it leaves open more upper harmonics, because the 12 dB has a different curve in terms of filtering. So if I'm not wrong, if I go to my pad sounds, and we would go to the pads, what I created. You see 12 dB low pass filter. And for bass, very often or lead sounds 24 dB. Very dry. Very nice bass. Oh, that's a good point. Which filter has... there is always bass loss, because picture, if you use resonance, it peaks the frequency where the cutoff frequency is. So if the frequency is on 1K, it peaks it. And if you peak something, everything below gets less. So let's try this with a bass. And it's also where the sustain lands. So let's do this with the type 2 filter. 24 dB type 2. Yeah, in terms of low end, I would say that the 24 dB, the type 1, keeps more of the low end. Then we can take the zero latency filters. The resonance is far more aggressive in that one. Yeah, I think in terms of the MS-20, I would go for the zero latency one, because that can really sound dirty. It's also a little bit more louder in the... And especially if you go some distortion here. So at least I would use some distortion here, because the MS-20, which is on my right-hand side, is very dirty in some cases. It's a very typical sound compared to any other synthesizer. I keep in mind that at that time, the Korg MS-20 was a budget synthesizer, because that were the first affordable Japanese synthesizers. I paid for it, I think, 1,500 guilders, so which would be 1,500 euros. And at that time, the Minimoog was 3 times the price. So it, but of course, it had not the audio quality of the Minimoog or any of the other American synthesizers. But now it has its own sound. Because of that, it has its tricky, typical sound. Yeah, talking about the 12 dB and 24 dB filter, are made with the in the booklet, in the DVD, or which is now a video in the cloud, but in the book about the 4-element synth, where I explain subtractive synthesis, I have an example about the 12 dB compared to 24 dB. Let me see. Add track, instruments, so I need to add... So here we have Predator 3, and then I go to the manager, scroll down. Let me see. No. So these are the sounds which I used in the DVD, which is, you see, it's a bank in the Predator 3, also Predator 2, 128 DVD, element 1 to 3, where you have all these sounds examples. So I see what kind of sounds you can create with a soul wave and that kind of thing. And here I need to see pads, white noise, bass. Okay, now I'm getting closer to it. Okay, here's pads. Okay. Okay, this is 24 dB. And this is 12 dB. So this is, because you can see here, this is a 12 dB pad sound, but you see the cutoff frequency of the cutoff frequency is here on this position. It's a 12 dB pad. If I go to a 24 dB pad, you see that the cutoff is much more open to get the same amount of high frequencies. So you still can hear that it has a different character. So this is 12 dB pad sound. And this is the 24 dB pad sound. So it's a different character because the curve is different. And of course it depends also on the which type of filter you use, but That's an example I use in the booklet to show that 12 dB and 24 dB. It's not only that it difference in because people would say, okay, if you have a 12 dB filter, why not close the filter down more deeply? Then you have the same sound. No, it's the curve. The curve is different. So, and we could do also with bit, but that it's a little bit complicated because then I have to open two bits together. You see, this is a very dirty one. This is typically MS-20 type of sound. And then I use a little bit of distortion, although this is a bit more cleaner. And then back any basses. I'm not sure if I have an MS-20 sound. I think maybe an FX, typically. Doctor Who. Very analog sounding. Quark filing. Yeah, but I was looking for an MS-20 sound. I think here maybe. Sometimes I really name it MS-20, but in this case not. I don't see a razor blade. Well, this is using a high bandpass filter, so this really could be also a kind of a MS-20 type of sound. Okay. I'm looking here if I can find here something typical. MS-20, not really. Not really. Tube finder. Oh, that's the flanger. Okay, you see MS-20 SQ. Oh, you spotted one. Yeah, good that you guys look together with me. 13. Yeah. Yeah, that's MS-20. This is typical with sound. Okay, could you create the semaphone sound? Yeah, but then you need to speak in a semaphone. FM passed in those days. Well, yeah, if you could hear it, you would need to use an FX for it for so RP Distort 2, for instance, and then use that on the voice to create a this typical megaphone sound. With a synth, of course, this one hasn't a MIDI of a audio input, so that's hard to create. But so you need to have then. Let's see if I have here F3. Where is my voice coming in? Voice. Here's my voice, and then I need to. Yeah, you could then use RP Distort. I think RP Distort has some interesting. If I go to the manager, you have vocal presets in here. Lo-fi follower, the vocal edge of Distort, edgy chorus, narrow follower. Yeah, this is very narrow. It's a bit loud, but so then you got a nest.
vocal super lo-fi. I sound really lo-fi. Captain, can you hear me? This is Captain Kirk from the Enterprise. Beam me up, Scotty. I'm totally lo-fi here.
So you see, RP Distort has some nice edgy presets, but I think the FM type of thing, then you need to narrow down with the bandpass filter. I think here differs. I'm not sure if there are other ones. Oh, these are the original vocal. Oh, here also a lot of them. This VIII, FM. Oh, this sounds bad. This sounds also bad.
That one's a bad one. This one has a sweet. Okay, this one is better than. Okay.
Let's bypass, because now, yeah, I had a random filter white. Had a very nice, a very aggressive tone inside of it. Yeah, so this is RP Distort 2. Maybe there are some presets which they're all strange sounds. Okay, guys, yeah, that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed it a little bit. We went into BIT-2 again. Hopefully everything goes smooth for the release, the 27th of April, and hopefully the homepages will be up very soon. So fingers crossed for that, and thank you for watching. So maybe you did send me an email with a song or something like that, but I could not check the email because the homepage is down. So okay, thanks for watching. See you next week again. Stay safe, enjoy creating music, and bye-bye. And Tom, do my best wishes to your wife, and that she will recover very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.